Hello, good evening, and sunny bonani to all of our viewers here. My name is Bob O'Connor. This is Breakaway F1. And tonight, we have our Tier 1 drivers getting ready to take on the circuit in Brazil. We look forward to this one, as we always do. As things stand, we have, it was about half the grid, but of course, we're confirming that more and more drivers are on the grid. If it was just half the grid, well, Thanos would be delighted. Welcome to all of you who are joining us here. The viewers are, of course, starting to turn on their sets and tuning into this broadcast. Yes, we can see the likes of Zotal here, Selby is here, Cicle Langa is here, Titus, Lungs, Bombs, and whether you're a Ferrari fan, an Alfa Romeo fan, Haas, Aston Martin, Alfa Tauri, you are represented here. We're going to have 36 laps of racing after an 18-minute qualifying session for all these drivers to try and see how well they can do and how high up the grid they can place themselves to take full advantage of the race to come. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what your expectations are on this race. We saw, of course, one of our championship protagonists, Titus, struggling with their connection last time around, and they unfortunately could not make it into the points. But what a race it was for McLaren nonetheless. Tindo was representing with that podium finish, and of course we've seen really great racing over the course of the season from Cicle, of course, who took full advantage of the likes of Josh and Zotal spinning out in the previous race to make sure that they finished on the podium as well. Lungs has been doing the best they can to represent for Red Bull. We've seen fantastic teamwork between Lungs and Zotal. In recent weeks, we've seen great teamwork between Titus and Tindo in the McLaren. So it's been encouraging for many reasons. This is race 12 of a 24-race breakaway F1 season. So just like that, we are at the midpoint of the season. Can you believe it? I certainly cannot. Welcome if you've just tuned in. This is Breakaway F1, and tonight we have our Tier 1 drivers. Breakaway F1 is an esports league currently racing 2 tiers, so these drivers are hoping to stay in this Tier 1, which is the top tier, and the Tier 2 drivers who race on Mondays and Wednesdays are aiming to do the best they can to qualify to race among these drivers, the best of the best here. And of course, as we've mentioned, we're about to take on the circuit in Brazil. Well, it looks like the drivers are readying up, and in a matter of minutes, we will get a sense of what the weather is looking like, at least for the qualifying session, and then for the race. Will we get rain? We've seen some rain for the past couple of races. So, if we get rain one more time, well, it might just make things even more interesting. We'd love to hear in the comments from all of you what your thoughts, your expectations are for this race. We'll be watching that comment section, and we cannot wait to get underway in less than 5 seconds. A short qualifier here today. As we mentioned, 18 minutes to see what these drivers can do. Well, just to give you a sense of what the standings look like as we currently stand in the Drivers' Championship, we have Titus, who still holds the lead despite not finishing on the points last time round on 165 points. Zotal follows closely behind, 161 points. Cicle in P3 in the championship, 155 points. Then followed by Lungs, S. Buda, Mello in P4, 5, and 6. And then Josh, the 86er, Spizo, and Mfundo make up those spots up until P10. We then have Tindo in P11. Tindo's been on a renaissance, a resurgence, if you will, in recent weeks, is currently 11th in the championship. And then we have Sanele, Tato, Nguako, Mandla, and Levo Bongs. And then we have Nick in the other Mercedes in P18 in the championship. Man Ray is currently 19th, and Inati is 20th. Man Ray and Inati currently have 1 point in the championship, so they will hope to do the best they can to rack up the points. Hello, Miss Bono. We see you in the comments as early as possible to see how these drivers will do today. We will make sure that we give you as much info as we can as we see a Mercedes heading out onto track. Soft tire selection, as is of course unsurprising in these conditions. So we'll see them out on their outlap. Well, Tindo and Seahley in the McLaren and Mercedes respectively have opted for medium tires, which is interesting. Nick is one of the first drivers out on their first outlap, and as you can see on the track map on the bottom right of your screen, the drivers are slowly trickling out. So Nick will want to keep it clean, want to keep it quick, and will want to set a good time for everybody else to follow here today. So since Nick is the first driver on an outlap, we'll be following their progress to see how he fares as he climbs that final hill and makes a dash towards the start-finish line to start this hot lap. All right, here we go. We are with Nick. Now, in qualifying or in the time trials or the practice session so far, we've seen drivers really pushing it in the 107s and the 106s even. So what will be a good enough time, do you think, to set a good time on this track? Well, I'd love to hear from you. Nick has abandoned that hot lap attempt, so let us see how Josh does. Josh has just got through, is just starting in the second sector, and of course is looking to set a great time. Josh did an amazing job in the previous race, but unfortunately spun out, so Josh will be looking similarly to take full advantage of the conditions here and hopefully put themselves as far up the grid as possible. Who are you rooting for today? Let us know as Josh takes that right-hander, that slow corner, but taking it nice and easy. Now, Interlagos is, of course, quite a hilly track, so lots of undulations, which demands a lot from your engine. As you can see, Josh is going uphill now. What kind of time will he set as he reaches the 1 minute mark, as he stares down that start-finish line? And Josh will set a time of 108.3. That being the first time. We'll see how that pans out. Selby is following close behind. Ooh, what time will they set? Selby, it's only a, 1:11, but it was, of course, an invalidation, unfortunately, so that will not count for Selby. Luns was out in the track and has already set the gauntlet at 108.337. Will that be good enough for P1? Well, we will see. I'd love to hear your thoughts here as we are on board with Selby on their second attempt. Seahley, the championship protagonist, currently P3 in the championship, but Seahley is in provisional pole with just over 14 minutes to go. We look at that. Seahley is on medium tires and has set the fastest time. How's that for laying down the gauntlet? Right, let's see how Romeo will do as they come towards the end here, going uphill for the last time before they stare down that final straight. Romeo here trying to make good on their position. What time will it be for Romeo on the soft tires? 109.2. Good enough for P9, but unfortunately Romeo had invalidated, so that time will not count. We'll have to see what kind of time they do here. Zotal, how will you do on medium tires? Also medium tires as you breach into sector 2. Let's take a closer look at Zotal. See what kind of time they do here, how difficult it is. Of course, this is a slower corner as he takes the right hand, another slow one as Mello the Mellow lays down the gauntlet. 108.106 is the current fastest time for Mello. Seahley was on the mediums. I don't know if Seahley will attempt another hot lap on those mediums and attempt to finish as high as possible. But Zotal here, we are looking at the onboard as, of course, he is now going uphill. towards that final straight as he curves to the left, almost hugging the curbs there. Ooh, look how close he's playing it towards the line, the pit lane, and it is good enough for P5 on the medium tires. 108.482 for Zotile there. So not bad, but a lot of work to do here with just over 12 minutes to go. Van Kobe says Seaflay will touch the 107 mark. Well, we look forward to seeing that. Seaflay is currently in the pits, seeing how everyone else fares. Titus, who struggled, of course, last time around for connection, is currently on a hot lap attempt. Titus is on the soft tires. Just 4 drivers on the grid have selected medium tires, but Titus is not taking any chances here. He wants to go for the soft compound, which has the most grip, which of course translates to a better time generally on track. Right, Titus. Let's see how he does here. Keeping it nice and clean towards the right turn here. A slow corner into the another slow left-hander as Titus is about to go uphill. Was that a possible invalidation there? See the track has gone red. Yeah, so Titus will have to go again. Unfortunately, invalidating there. So we have the likes of the 86er who are still in the pits, as we see a Red Bull coming back into the pit lane here. But of course, Titus will probably give it another go. Look at that. Bonds is currently sitting pretty in a potential second row start. How great would that be for Ferrari to start P2 and 3 as things stand? But with just under 11 minutes to go, a lot of time for drivers to have their say about that. Mellow the Mellow says, whatever you can do, C-Clay, I can do better. 107.921 for the Mercedes driver. What a time that is for Mello. Mello had a disastrous start to the recent race, crashing out into their teammate Nick, so that was just unfortunate. I'm pretty sure Mello had a lot of kind words to say to their teammates, hoping for forgiveness there, but yes, they're both on track together, working together, all is forgiven, hopefully. Yes, Miss Bono saying, oh, Mello, with flame emojis. So here comes Lungs in the second sector. Oh, Malusi, says Van Kobe in the comments. We're on board here with Lungs as Titus in their second attempt at a hot lap sets for fastest time, 107.869. Just a tenth or thereabouts between P1 and 2 as things stand. Sequay has said, all right, cool, we tried the soft tire experiment, but we've tried the medium tire experiment, we will go on to softs. Seaflay is making their way out, but let's see how Lungs does. Coming up the hill, staring down that final straight. The DRS is open. What kind of time will you do, Lungs? Good enough for P3 on the soft tires, 108.129. We have 3 constructors, 3 different teams in the top 3 as things stand. How do you see the rest of this qualifier panning out? Who are you rooting for? Is Tindo going to have another fantastic session to build upon that amazing showing in the race previously? Well, we will just have to see. Drivers on the hot laps. Let's see how Loveness does. Currently on a hot lap attempt. Another one on the medium tires here. Loveness, of course, did very, very well under rainy conditions, but had to pit towards the end of the race quite recently, just a couple of races ago. Loveness will be hoping to do as well as they can to improve. Oh, okay, well, Loveness abandons that attempt, making a way for the Aston Martin to come past here. Let's go back and see how Zotile does, currently also on a hot lap attempt. Welcome! If you've just joined us, this is Breakaway F1. Our Tier 1 drivers, our top tier drivers in this esports racing season. We are tracking the progress of Zotile in the Red Bull. It's going slightly faster after, as he touches the grass there, goes uphill and is staring down that final straight. How will Zotal do? 105, 106, 107, and 108.1, so slightly faster than the previous attempt. And good enough for P3 for Zotal on a new set of soft tires. So decent effort there. Sichle did set a decent time on mediums, but has ditched that for a brand new set of soft tires. Let's take a closer look from Sichle's perspective. Opens up the DRS towards the final straight, hugging that. 107.418. So Sichle becomes the third driver to breach that 107 barrier, or rather that 108 barrier, and 107.418. That is the gauntlet set by Sichle here in this qualification session here at Interlagos. What a time that is. Let's see how Mfundo does. Mfundo is nice and steady, trying to keep it clean. No incursions will do their best not to invalidate here. Mfundo in the Aston Martin. And how will it go here for Mfundo? What a lap that was by Sichle, says Mko Sana. Absolutely agreed, as we now have, 4 drivers who have breached that 107 mark alongside. It is Melo the Melo, Titus, Zotal, and Sichle. Zotal has set a 107.834 on their second hot lap attempt, but Sichle is still the person to beat. Mfundo on the final stretch, good enough for P7. So a better time than previously set, and up into the top 7 places as things stand. Yellow flagged in sectors 2 and 3. Thankfully, we have not lost a driver to any serious incidents as things stand. The 86er, who seems to prefer taking it easy in the qualification and coming out as late as they can when the traffic is a little bit low, they have set a time of 109.9 right at the back of the grid for the 86er as things stand. A lot of work to be done here. We're on board with Selby. Let's take a closer look from Selby's perspective. Into that right-hander, goes slightly wide. Tries to hug, of course, into this left-hander to get a good exit. Another slow corner for Selby here. Into the slow left-hander, or slightly quicker left-hander. Just before going uphill, before facing that final stretch. Looks like Selby is going slightly slower than their previous hot lap attempt. Let's set their previous best lap time. How good to go for Selby? Really punching it. Still 108.591. That being the best time. Still P12 for Selby. They're probably going to go for another hot lap attempt. We'll catch up with Selby to see how that goes along later on in the qualification session. Lungs has just come out of sector 1 and was 6/1000th of a second quicker than their previous attempt. Lungs, how will you do this time around? Let's take a closer look. Well, if you've just joined us, welcome. This is Breakaway F1. We are qualifying for the Brazil Grand Prix. This is the 12th race of the Tier 1 season here. It's fantastic to have you here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos, better known as Interlagos. Yes, Lungs is coming into the final sector. 5/1000ths of a second tighter or quicker than their previous time. Let's go, says Capoza. As Lungs faces down the final straight, they're going to punch it towards that finish line, and they get enough for P6. So, could not improve on their time. Unfortunately, Mandla is the first driver that we have lost. We have lost Mandla, unfortunately. They have retired from this session. Mandla could only set a time of 108.672, as you can see there. As things stand, Nadla, or Romeo Masango as you see there, is in P14. Miss Bono says these times are hectic. Also, has Mello always been this quick? Well, Mello has been laying down the gauntlet and putting in incredible qualifying times, has had some really bad misfortune in terms of crashes and incidents that has unfortunately left him in precarious positions. As we see Josh stake their claim into the top places, setting a 107.715. What a lap, what a time that was for Josh. Very good time set there. So once again, we have 3 different teams represented in the top 3 spots. The front row, as things stand, is Sikle and Josh. Second row is Mello and Zotal as things stand. Composer says Mello is adjusting to the wheel. He will only get quicker. Bankobi agreeing that Mello has always been a quick driver. So the more we go into the season, well, the more Mello hopes to become a protagonist in those proceedings there. Well, Titus went slightly slower in their previous attempt here. It doesn't look like they're punching it. It might be an in-lap as you see the red light flashing there. So we'll try and catch up with someone else who's on a hot lap attempt. Well, Tindo seems to be going, definitely going slower than the time that they had sent as things stand. Tindo doing incredibly well over recent weeks, working very well with Titus to earn points in previous races. Tier 1 is definitely lit, Miss Bono. I would absolutely agree with that. We have less than a minute to go, so anybody who wants to improve on their time has, as it stands, less than 45 seconds to see what they could do. Want to see what someone who's making a hot lap attempt, hoping to do as best they can. Tindo has begun their final hot lap attempt. Let's stay on board with Tindo to see how they do here. Of course, many of the drivers in the championship are on their best attempts to silence Sikle and possibly take P1. Sikle is also on a hot lap attempt, but we're going to stay on board with Tindo here to see how they do. Currently, Tindo's 108.080 was only good enough for P7. So what will this final attempt do? Sikle goes even better than their time, 107.2. So that's another gauntlet laid down by Sikle. If you want to beat that time, you gotta go quicker than that. Okay, Tindo is currently on looks like a downhill trajectory as this left-hander will see that car tilt uphill. We need to punch it. We need to apply all that power of that papaya orange McLaren and see how far he can go. Tindo is going into the pit lap. Oh, well, thought that was going to be a hot lap attempt. But as things stand, we have Sikle in P1, Damnesia Josh P2, Titus P3, Mello is 4th, followed by Zotal, then Mfundo, and then Tindo, and then Lungs, Bongs, and Inati make up those top 10 places. We then have Loveness, D-Wax, Spizozo, Selby, Romeo, Nick, and the 86er. That is how the grid looks as things stand. It is almost go time. Who are you rooting for in this race? If you've joined us, welcome to Autodromo Jose Carlos, better known as Interlagos, here in São Paulo, Brazil. This is Tier 1 Breakaway F1. Our top tier drivers. It is the 12th race of the season, and we are set to have a fantastic time. 107.216 is the gauntlet laid down by Sikle. How will this race pan out? We cannot wait to see. Just under 30 seconds until we go, and until the drivers get a sense of what the weather conditions are also going to be like, which might change their strategies or might give them different ideas in terms of how to approach this. But I, for one, cannot wait. This is Breakaway F1. Almost go time. Well, Focalistic said it's not trap. It's music from the Cassie. Well, this is Formula One, and it's littered with speed traps. We want to see who will set a good, fast lap throughout the race, who will floor it, who will set good times, who will race pretty hard. Ooh, gloomy skies. What does that mean for the start of this race? Alright, so we will get a good sense in a matter of seconds. Well, just seeing how the teams are looking in the garages there. People sitting cross-legged in the Mercedes garage, hopefully hoping to do well. Nick, we're looking at Nick's side of the garage here. The stewards, of course, working very hard in their orange jumpsuits. Well, might be having some network issues. It says Mfundo has rejoined the session. We're about 3 seconds away from the start here. In gloomy conditions, it is 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. Cicle leads from Josh here in Brazil. How will this race go? Let's see how it starts. Oh, and Josh goes to the inside. Look at the early lead. Look into, oh, do they touch over there? And Josh has now the line. And Josh has overtaken Cicle. And the first, it is Josh in front of Cicle, in front of Titus in P3. Would you look at that? What a start that was from Josh. But Cicle would have something to say about that, especially when DRS gets activated in a couple of laps. What a start. It's been just 6/10 the gap between Josh and Cicle. What a move that was to take it in the second corner. There was a little bit of contact, but Cicle now has a fight on their hands. It was plain smooth sailing in qualifying, but this is Tier 1. This is the top drivers that we have on this breakaway league, and Josh is looking to take full advantage and hopefully have no incidents last time. What a start to the race this was. I am curious to hear from you who you think will do best as this race goes along. Let us give you as much detail as we can here. All right. Josh, of course, sets that fastest time. Let's see how the grid has changed. Romeo has been the big winner, gaining 4 places since this race has started. 2 places gained by the 86er, as well as Tindo and Lungs, who have gone up 2 places since this race has started. Of course, the gap is 7/10, as we have a major crash between the Ferrari of Bongs and the Red Bull of Lungs. Bongs and Lungs are out, bringing out the virtual safety car. That was a huge crash towards the back of the grid there. Bongs and Lungs. Bongs, who unfortunately is no stranger to having incidents in this lap here, but was hoping to do well, has brought out the safety car in gloomy conditions. Man, that was a huge crash there as Bonds and Lungs jostled for positions. An absolutely dramatic start to this race. We have lost 2 drivers. The safety car is out. Josh will now see the rest of the grid bunch up behind them as we have a couple of laps here. The clouds have come out. It is gloomy weather, and is that a drop of rain that I see? What will that do to strategies? Yes, it is beginning to drizzle. What will that do to strategies? What will that do to tire selection? And just thinking about how the rest of this race is going to go. Well, we're going to take a look at how things look. The 86er who started towards the back of the grid selected hard tires, but as you can see, of course, we are now under safety car conditions. So as the weather changes, the hard tires, which have significantly less grip than their medium and soft counterparts, will have a little bit of trouble. Is Josh gonna blink first and and sacrifice track position? Ooh, what do you do in a position like this? Josh currently leads this race. He was ahead of pole sitter Seaclay before the end of the first lap. In fact, before they even got to the halfway point of this track, Josh said, I will muscle you out of that position. There was a little bit of contact between the two, but Josh led from Seaclay and was looking to build a little bit of a gap before that major incident between Lungs and Bonds in the Red Bull and Ferrari. What a start to the race that has been. With that incident, does that change your personal expectations for this race? As always, you could let us know in the comments here. I cannot wait. The safety car will go for another lap, hopefully the final lap. But as things stand, only Tindo looks to have come in for a fresh set of tires. Tindo might have been involved, or Tindo might have somehow been affected by that major incident. We would have to confirm that later on. But as you can see, the rain is starting to fall here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos in Brazil. Now, this track was not built on flat terrain, but follows the ups and downs of hilly ground, which makes it harder to drive in some instances and demands more power from the car's engine as your car tries to navigate those uphill sections of this track here. If I was Mello, I'd pit now, says Van Kobe. Mello is currently in P12, having started way ahead here. Oh, would you look at that? No one wants to slip and just ram into another driver. No one wants to risk a penalty, of course. You're trying to stay as close as possible to the driver in front of you to make sure you're ready for the restart of the race. Safety car is in this lap. The track is colder. The tires, presumably, are also colder. There is less grip as Josh slows down on that uphill section. Not given an inch as to when exactly Josh will start to punch it. We will see how it goes. It is on the straight. And Josh comes in. Would you look at that? It's an entire train of about 4, 5, 6, 7. Most of the top 10 are coming into the pit lane here. And presumably for a set of intermediate tires. Would you look at that? Look at that. Look at how busy it is. All of those teams coming out. Josh, of course, is on those intermediates. The 86er, the only person to, well, try and maintain track position. The 86er is the only person who opted to stay on track here as the entire grid goes onto those intermediate tires as the procession snakes out of the pit lane. How much of a gap will the 86er have? And of course, with these intermediate tires, more grip, they will have a huge advantage by the time they get back. As you see, the 86er, will Josh be able to maintain that lead? He's got to keep it clean. He's got to keep it steady. Seaclay is on his tail. Seaclay is on Josh's tail, giving nothing away. Titus is breathing down Seaclay's neck. Let's go, says Christopher Saikyle Mkize, aka Crash, a tier 2 driver. Yes, let's go. Let's take a closer look at what it looks like from Seaclay's perspective, chasing down Josh. The rain is still trickling down here. Oh, yes, going easy on the throttle, time not to go too wide there. Josh's red light is flashing. He is trying to push as much of that battery as possible to create a bit of a gap between themselves and Seaclay, but Seaclay is close enough to be able to take full advantage of that and regains the lead from Josh here. But no, Josh is not going to give it up that easy. They're going side by side. Josh is on the outside. Seaclay will get the inside line, but Josh, if he gets close enough to have the inside line for the next turn, no, he does not get it. Ooh, it was that almost contact between Titus and Josh. Not necessarily. Seaclay says, thank you very much. The safety car is out again. We have lost the 86er. The 86er, who was still on soft tires, has crashed out, presumably. The 86er was trying to, as they say in South Africa, Mlenga.
angazi why 86 hamba ngamatayara so that's why fanele ngamungenile na bheka manje utindo naye ufika ama-hard tires angazi maybe mistake. He shouldn't have done that.
Well, Bertox is saying the 86er should have pitted along with everybody, and instead was slipping and sliding on the soft tires until they lost the car, bringing out the safety car once again. What was the 86er thinking? Asked Van Kobe. Well, I don't know. Bertox, of course, with really strong feelings to what the 86er did there.
Well, dalang drive moto. Nasa loksin mapushi tayo ready one. May net improve. Uyazo kuti okay, as na intermediate mara ufakit sabati niya ano kuti tayo ready na.
Well, apparently, Bertox is saying in the Lokshin, when you're pushing a single tire and racing with friends, when it starts to rain, you have to do all you can to bring back some sort of semblance of grip. And the 86er, gambling to stay out on track there, but unfortunately could not keep their car, and now they're out of the race. Well, as things stand, we have Sikle in P1, followed by Josh. What an epic battle it's been by these two. And Titus is close behind in P3. As things stand, Zotile in the Red Bull is the only hope for that team to gain points today. Currently P4, followed by M. Thundo in the Aston Martin. We then have Loveness in P6. Inati, who really has had some rotten luck, is currently sitting P7 in the points. Can Inati hold on for Haas and finally score double-digit points today? Well, Inati has quite some time to go, as we see Chris saying Josh is a great driver. Sikle was on pole position, Crash, as you've been asking there, but there was an epic battle between Sikle and Josh, aka Damnesia, and that resulted in a change of position there. So it's been an eventful race, but still interesting nonetheless. Going through the rest of the grid, Romeo is currently in P8, Selby 9th, D-Wax 10th, Spizozo, Mello, and Nick and Tindo make up the rest of the grid. Just 14 drivers remain here. If you have just joined us, welcome. This is Breakaway F1. These are our top tier drivers of this Breakaway League here. We are under safety car conditions, and as you can see, the safety car is going for one more lap, hopefully the final lap before racing gets underway again. The drivers all came into the pits in a procession, which was quite interesting to watch, really. Pretty much the entire grid, bar the 86er, came into the pit laps at the same time for those intermediate tires. We have a crash between the teammates, Mello and Nick, both of them getting a 5-second penalty for that crash. But what does that mean? And Lebo, welcome. So mad you're missing the race. We do miss you on the grid too. Let's see if any of these. Oh yes, it looks like Nick has lost the wing there. So Nick will have to come into the pits here, as their teammate Mello is slightly ahead of them there. Nick will have to come into the pits, unfortunately losing even more time, and Nick will be hoping that the safety car will go around for one more lap. Well, will they? Well, that is unfortunate there for the Mercedes of Nick, who has lost their wing and will have to, well, come into the pits there. Yeah. Who will take this race, according to you? Looks like Selby has rejoined the session, perhaps having connectivity issues, but hopefully Selby will be able to take control of their car again. The safety car is coming in this lap. Now, last time around, we saw Sikle, who seemed to save as much of their battery as possible before the race restarted, and was able to take advantage of Nick and the final stretch, take advantage rather of Josh in that final stretch and retake the lead of this race. And Sikle floors it building up immediately a half a second gap between them and Josh. Titus is breathing down Josh's neck. Look how close Josh is there to Ciclay, giving absolutely nothing away, letting Ciclay know, I am on your tail. You cannot escape me. I am inevitable, shouts Josh towards the back of Ciclay's car. This is the battle that we're watching right now. Titus is, of course, known in these parts as a superb wet weather driver, currently sitting third there in that McLaren, and chasing down Josh. Now, most of these drivers have their red lights flashing, well, as we can see, but, well, Titus is looking good here. Titus on about 90% in terms of their battery power here. And Josh has pretty much slides, loses the rear. Titus says, thank you very much. So says Zotile on the inside of Josh here. A mistake, so costly with the cars bunched up there. Both Titus and Zotile saying, Josh, if you're going to lose your rear in these conditions, I will take full advantage. The gap between P1 and 2 is currently 1.3 seconds. Titus is punching that battery, as you can see there, into the 60%, into the 50%, doing as best they can to get as close as possible to Ciclay. Josh is less than a second behind Titus as they go into that slow corner, first corner, and doing as best they can not to lose it. Josh will be kicking themselves, having had a great opportunity to possibly take the lead, but slipped and slid down to P4. But we are looking here at Zotile, who was less than a second behind Titus. Now, these two have had some titanic battles here, and this has, of course, resumed in Brazil here at Interlagos. Here, let's take a quick look through the grid. Loveness is looking to take a bite out of Mfundo. Really, really close here between these three cars, that being Loveness, Mfundo, and even Josh. Tindo has racked up a time penalty, presumably for incursions into track limits there. Loveness is about 7/10 off Mfundo there. So a little bit of breathing room between Mfundo and Loveness. A couple of seconds ago, it was just 2/10 between these two drivers. Well, Christopher says they are back in Titus for a possible race win here. Is that what we're going to see? Well, Bona, as they say in South Africa. Isn't that correct?
Oh, no, I can't say someone else. Titus is driving. I try. You want to Titus in a check your man of a crane. City Velu driver was Buzala Necanaria. Titus and I thought I win.
Well, maybe Titus might win, but we'll have to see, Pertox. Of course, a lot of variables. We're only on lap 11 of 36 here, so plenty can happen between now and the end of this race here. It's pretty tight between Titus and Zotile. Let's take a closer look at what it looks like from Zotile's perspective as the rain keeps on trickling down here in this battle for P2. Ciclay is not far off. Titus has managed to keep that gap not larger than 1.2 seconds. But knowing Titus, he will want to get into the DRS zone. But of course, as things stand, these stewards have not enabled DRS in these conditions. We've already had 2 safety cars. Remember, we have lost 3 drivers. Zotile doing the best they can to keep Titus in their sights onto that straight. Zotile hits that ERS, but Titus is not coming closer. Oh, from Titus's perspective, let's see. Well, saving battery power, not using too much as far as Titus is concerned here. So this battle between P1, 2, and 3 is one that we'll be watching very closely. Let's go back to Loveness in P6. Has Mfundo in their sights. Was thinking about going inside, but no. Mfundo is keeping it nice and steady. Mfundo probably says, Titus, Loveness, you will have to work for that P5 position if you want it. Loveness is kind of weaving, bobbing back and forward, left and right, looking to get a look in, looking to get a sniff on the inside of Mfundo, and he goes on the inside. Was the cut there? No. He concedes there. In these conditions, just one touch could see you lose your rear end, possibly going off track. Nobody wants that. Loveness does not want that. Currently P6 Loveness will look to do the best they can to get that position from Mfundo. Here in this Tier 1 race. Well, further down the grid, let's see how Selby is coming along. Inching about half a second behind Inati, who has since slipped to P8. Inati will look to hold on to this top 10 position and get a decent haul of points here. But we see Selby is really knocking on that door. Let's take a closer look, see what it looks like from Selby's. Oh, Inati, weaving back and forth. Loses a little bit there, goes off the track. Selby says, thank you, I will very much take that position. Well, there's been 2 safety cars already, recounts Bankobi in the comments section. Yes, if you've just joined us, it's been an eventful race. We are into lap 13 of 36, as we have just seen Selby take a position from Inati. As things stand, Inati is under threat here to go out of the pole of the points positions here. Oof, bunched up are D-Wax, Inati, and Tindo. Tindo, the McLaren, is really looking to take a bite out of Inati here, as this is turning into quite a battle here all the way between P8 and even P12. They're all kind of just bunched up here. Inati's looking to keep it steady. This would be the second points haul that Inati would get if they managed to stay in P10 here. So a lot of work for Inati to do here. But Tindo, who has been on a hot streak of recent podiums, is ready to do all they can, as he's about to go on the outside of Inati. Will he get that move done? From Inati's perspective, Tindo has the inside. Ooh, goes slightly off and concedes there. No one wants to take too many risks here. Only 4 drivers, as things stand, are on time penalties. Tindo is looking to go on the inside of Inati there. Ooh, not close enough. Huge battle. Inati goes off. Inati is panicking under pressure from Tindo here. Tindo was really looking to get past Inati. And what's happening here is Inati is backing up Tindo, Zozo, and even Mello here. So all these drivers are starting to slowly inch further away from D-Wax, who's almost 2 seconds now ahead of Inati. Chris says whoever pits first between the top 3 will win this race, possibly. Well, what do you think? Let us know as things stand who you think might be in a prime position to take the race win. Ooh, Titus going toe-to-toe with Mfundo. He's been looking for this move the whole race. Oh, bobbing left and right, weaving left and right, but still, Mfundo is basically saying, Titus, Loveness, you're gonna have to work a lot harder than that if you want this position.
Oh, vele ngiyakliya nje. Umfundo vele angeke avela mgawo riding. Loveness. I can't like on Spice Girl. If you wanna be my lover, you've got to do better than weaving back and forth. Yabo. Riding, it's the same thing, Joe. Loveness, really riding.
Well, Loveness has to fight. Yeah, if you wanna take the position, you do have to do a lot more than weave to the left and right. You have to fight. Mfundo is making Loveness work for this position. This has been a battle ongoing for quite some time now. Let's go higher up the grid and see how Zotile is doing. Zotile has been trying to keep things steady, has been trying to keep things clean, and has been inching and chipping away at this gap between P3 and P2. Titus has now a 2.4 second deficit between them and P1. The rain looks to be raining heavier here between between the cloud and the track. The rain is pouring even more. Will we need to see these drivers switch to full wet tires? Well, we're gonna have to see. We'll see as the race goes on along. Zotile slips and almost knocks that car into that barrier there, as you saw. And all the hard work that Zotile did to get close to Titus has been lost, unfortunately. Oof. Zotile will be kicking themselves, but still grateful that, hey, I still have my car. I am still on track here. Drama, slippages. Let's go further down the grid and see how Tindo is doing. Tindo was trying to get that position from D-Wax. Mello the Mello has a 3-second time penalty. What a save by Zotile, says Nkasana. I absolutely agree. That was absolutely cool-headed from Zotile to make sure that they don't lose the car completely. Tindo is now breathing down the neck of D-Wax. Inati has lost that position, that points position as things stand. Tindo is currently surging high on confidence after a string of really great performances here. So Tindo will look into do as best they can as he eases on the throttle there as the car looks and tilts uphill towards that final straight. D-Wax with a flashing light, which of course means that battery has been punched and punched and punched. It is now at a 10%. How will they do? Tindo looking on the inside. D-Wax gave them a little bit of space, but, well, it's still keeping that position. So D-Wax doing quite well here in the AlphaTauri to make sure that Tindo does not have it that easy. What a battle it's been between Tindo and these drivers towards the end of the... Oh! Well, D-Wax goes wide and Tindo just kind of keeps his car on track and just takes it. All that pressure from Tindo has paid off, and D-Wax is probably shaking their head there in that cockpit. How on earth did I lose that? Tindo has taken full advantage, as now has about, well, just under 3.5 seconds between them and Selby. So a little bit of clean air, just a tiny gap between they can see until they can see Selby. A little further up the grid, this titanic battle between Loveness and Mfundo. It's one that we've been watching for quite some time now. Let's see how they do. Just 2/10 now between Loveness has been looking to take a bite out of Mfundo. Mfundo has been keeping it steady. Mfundo has not cracked under this pressure from Loveness this entire time. They have hardly had major contact. Not a second of time penalties between these guys. And this battle has now roped in Josh Damnesia. Bankobi says Titus could be saving their tires. Now, as we see from P1 all through P8, those intermediate tires are just 12 laps old. The rain is still trickling down here consistently. It doesn't look like it's going to be drying out. Perhaps we're going to have a wet race for most of it here. All right, let's see what Loveness does. Loveness has been trying not to take too many unnecessary risks, but has been bobbing left and right, weaving back and right, just trying to get a look, trying to get a sniff into that position that Mfundo currently holds. Let's take a closer look and see what it looks like from the perspective of Loveness. As you can see, Damnesia, Josh has been roped into this. Mfundo has a look on Josh's outside. Loveness, we'll find out, will this be a double overtake here from Loveness? What a move that is, side to side now with Josh. He's got the inside, but Josh, there's a little bit of contact. Josh on the inside in this next curve. Through they touch it. It's a side to side with 3 cars here, and Mfundo has kind of lost balance with both these cars now. And Mfundo and Josh are having a scrap for the ages here. Josh, who led this trio, is potentially going to be at the back of it by the end of this scrap, the end of this tussle. And Mfundo slightly goes off, and Josh is now sandwiched between Loveness and Mfundo. What a move that was by Loveness, who kept it clean, who was sniffing and fighting and trying to get that move done, but turned it into a double overtake. Loveness, what a move that was. Seeing themselves now into P4. To give you some perspective, Loveness, since the start, has gained 7 places. What a drive this has been in wet weather conditions from Loveness here. Well, let's see the penalties. Nick currently has 6 seconds, and the rest of the drivers all have 3-second penalties, presumably from time incursions. Zotile is the first to blink in terms of this strategy to pit. Zotile is going onto the full wet tires here. Loveness currently goes into P3 as Zotile has sacrificed track position there, and as the rest of those runners kind of pass along, Well, Zotal will, of course, have a different position there. We currently have Josh, Espaizozo, Mfundo, Tindo, D-Wax, and Inati all in the pits as things stand. Josh lost that three-way battle between them and Mfundo and Loveness and has decided, you know what? This is a good time to slap on those wet tires. Mr. Strategy, we have a safety car because we have lost Selby. Selby is out the race, bringing out the safety car. The fourth driver we have lost today, unfortunately, as Mfundo racks up a 5-second penalty for a collision with Spyzozo, unfortunately. Tabang Mguni says, Loveness, Josh, and Mfundo showing us some F1 three-way there. Good evening, Tier 1 drivers. Who is driving the safety car? Asks Etzapiso. Well, we would love to see. That safety car may have cost Zat, says Endevo Kazueo there in the comments. Well, time will tell. It's been pouring here, as we've seen. Zotal decided, I'm not going to keep these intermediates any longer. I'm not going to keep these intermediates any longer. I'm going to go on to the full wetted tires as we see the front runners in the pits as well. Will they maintain track position, though? Quite likely under safety car conditions. Sicle, Titus, Loveness comes out. Well, what a race it's been for Loveness, potentially. Zotile makes it in front of Loveness. Oh, no. Loveness definitely made it. Oh, yes. All right, it's currently glitching here on my end. It's currently zipping back and forth between Zotal and... Oh, Loveness coming out. It's gonna be a scrap between these two, and Loveness manages to keep that P3 position. Loveness was coming out the pits there, and keeps that P3 position. What a day it's been for Loveness, starting pretty much in the back half of the grid. And as things stand, in lap 21 of 36, Loveness possibly finishing in the podium places. What a day it's been for Alpine. What a day it's been for Loveness here. We saw a titanic battle between Loveness and Mfundo early on in the race here. And Loveness is now, well, roped themselves into a battle pretty much for the lead of this race as soon as we get to the end of the safety car. Let's take a look at how things stand. Let's take a look at our grid as things stand. We have Sicle currently in the lead here under safety car in this 21st lap, P1, followed by Titus in second place. We then have Loveness and Zotile, and followed closely by Damnesia, who had a great qualifying, great start to the race, but has had a couple of hiccups as he was dragged into some fierce battles. Mfundo currently 6th, followed by Tindo in P7. Romeo is currently 8th. D-Wax 9th. Inati 10th. Inati sees himself back in the points here. Mellow the Mellow with a penalty having over them. And Spizoso, Nick making up the rest of the grid. Van Kobe says, Zotile is in for a war. Loveness is difficult to overtake. Well, we saw Loveness themselves involved in a war of sorts, trying to overtake Mfundo, who put up a masterclass of a defense for lap after lap. Loveness will have to take a leaf out of that book and keep Zotile out of that podium place. Who I would love to hear your thoughts on who, as things stand, who is best placed to take this race win, who is best placed to finish, to consolidate their position among the podium places, and who will make it into those points places. We've spoken about Inati looking to gain another points finish here today. Inati will have their work cut out for them. Mellow the Mellow will probably be on a mission in that Mercedes and will look to take full advantage of Inati. Hopefully Inati keeps and holds their nerve and does not panic and keeps that position. Well, seems there's a little bit of a bet going on in the comment section. Tabang asking Lespano if they're having some sort of a bet. I'm not sure what the situation is. Hopefully it's a friendly wager. Brakeaway F1 currently is not affiliated with any betting partners as yet, but you never know as time goes on.
Amara if mina beng pecha ngas. Mina ngati Loveness ngati soy fata dai. Loveless yabona amatayara wamanje kanjeni nje akachayisanga umuntu akana penalty penalty. Okay, aspect safety car again.
Yes, the safety car is coming in this lap. We see C-Clay just trying to get a little bit of temperature into those tires and pushes it. C-Clay pushes it, and it's a scrap! It looks like between Titus and Loveness. They were side to side slightly. C-Clay manages to build a 9/10 of a gap there. Look at how tight it is between Titus, Loveness, and Zotile. Look how tight it is between Titus. Hey, I should be a rapper. Tindo racked up a time penalty. Loveness has a fight on their hands to keep Zotile off their back. But, of course, Loveness is looking to take a bite out of Titus's P2 spot. Diablo, winner takes all titles for me tonight, says the Bang. Well, we will see. Titus is, of course, known for their wet weather driving. Let's see how Loveness fares here. Just 3/10 between them and Titus, keeping things steady. Loveness is very familiar with chasing down drivers in rainy conditions here. Let's see what Zotile has to say about that as well. All sorts of battles here as the race has restarted. Of course, we've just come out of a safety car. We have about 13 laps to go until this São Paulo Brazilian Grand Prix is over. And these drivers will want to have a lot to say about that before we get to the end. Zotile is looking to elbow and kick Loveness out of this podium place here. It'll be a great day for Alpine if Loveness manages to finish in the podium places here. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. The fight that we were anticipating further down the grid has not necessarily taken place that way between Mello and Inati. Spizozo is currently 11th and Mello is 12th. Mello looks to have slipped a little bit, but let's take a closer look there because Mello has just kind of retaken that position from Spizozo, who is now sandwiched between two Mercedes drivers here. So the Alpine of Spizozo with a lot of work to do, and their teammate Amfundo in 6th place, of course, also had a lot of defending to do while they were battling the amnesia early on in the race. Well, what a restart we have had here. It looks, this gap between Mello and Spizozo looks to be kind of building up and, well, reaching a steady kind of mark of around a 1.5 seconds. Zotile is fighting hard to retake that position from Loveness. And as you can see on your screen there, Zotile is really pushing that battery. Will look maybe to go on the inside, but doesn't have enough room to try that overtake. Josh has worked their way back to within 4/10, or rather within 7/10 of Zotile here as we stand. So that battle between Zotile and Loveness is probably, well, leaving Josh, the amnesia, a little something to think about here. So it's a good day. It's a great day here for Josh. Listen, we have not lost too much here, and as far as incidents are concerned, Romeo racks up a 3-second time penalty here, and let's take a look at that detail. As things stand, Mfundo 8 seconds in terms of penalties, and Tindo is currently on 6 seconds, as is Nicholas in P13, and the rest of the drivers, Romeo, D-Wax, Mello the Mello, and Spizozo, currently sitting on 3-second penalties. Well, that defending from Loveness, says Bankobi, his vehicle placement is really what is given Zotile a lot of headaches, is giving Zotile a lot to think about. And Zotile can't take too many chances here. There's so many wet patches on this grid, as you can see, and if Zotile tries to be too brave and tries to take it too close into the wet patches, well, even though they're on full wet tires here, it of course has implications in terms of the grip that the car might have here. So great defending so far from Loveness, who has definitely taken a lead out of Mfundo's book, who was similarly bold in their defense much earlier on in the race. The rain is pouring here. It is raining cats and dogs here in Sao Paulo. As further down the grid, we see Nick taking that place from Espaizoso. Mello has since passed Inati further down the grid, but this battle between Loveness and Zotal is certainly one to keep a close eye on. And as Zotal has been thinking hard about how to get past Loveness, Josh has been creeping up closer and closer to Zotal. So Josh will have to work hard and make sure that they keep things steady. Look at all those wet patches outside the racing line here. So many of them. And you don't want to be going too close. You don't want to take unnecessary risks and possibly lose grip, which could send you into a corner, or worse, have you lose your car, send you into a wall, I beg your pardon. Look, now that gap is slightly increasing as the safety car comes out here. We are under safety car conditions. As we see, looks like Tindo and Fundo. We've lost Mfundo, unfortunately, in this race. And now the gap, which was slightly building up between all of these cars in the top 6 here, well, that gap will narrow. We have lost Mfundo, bringing out the safety car as Tindo, Romeo, D-Wax, Nick, and Inati, who were pretty close to the pit lane, decide, yeah, I'm going to go into the pits. Mispano laments the loss of Mfundo here, who was doing so well, says Mispano. And yeah, that is quite unfortunate here, as we have lost driver after driver. Just 12 cars remaining in lap 27 of 36. And as we wait for the rest of the safety car to complete its rounds, what a race we've had. And every single restart after the safety car has had some pretty fantastic battles. So hey, who will we see fighting now? As you mentioned earlier, Bankobi, Zotal has not had it easy to get that spot back from Loveness. So Zotal will have their work cut out for them in lap 28 of 36 here. The safety car is out. We have just lost Mfundo. Taking you through the grid as things currently stand, we have Cicle, who is currently in P1. We then are followed by Titus in second place. Loveness, what a day they've had, clawing their way up the grid. Currently in a podium position in P3. Zotal in P4, followed by D'Amnesia, that being Josh in fifth place. Mello the Mellow is currently in P6. Espaizoso 7th, Tindo 8th, Romeo 9th. We have then D-Wax currently 10th, and Nicholas and Inati make up the final two positions in this race. Don't forget to like, says Tapiso in the comments. Yeah, we highly recommend liking this stream, subscribing to this channel. Fantastic racing. This is Breakaway F1, and these are our Tier 1 drivers in Brazil. This is the 12th race of the season here in São Paulo. It's been a rainy race. It started off dry, but most of the race has been under wet conditions. And as I see things, well, as I take a look here, even from the perspective of Cicle, it looks like the rain has slowly relented, as we see the two cars, that being Nick and Inati, on your track map at the right. They're slowly catching up to the rest of the drivers here, so hopefully this is the final lap. We are now into lap 29, so we hopefully, if we do not have any further major incidents, hopefully we will have at least 7 laps of good, really, really good racing, or 6 laps of amazing all-out racing. Well, with almost 6 laps to go, Mispano says Loveness is the driver of the day. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Well, what a day it's been for Loveness in that Alpine. Right, the tires, as you can see, the wet tires, the wet compound of Seakley and Titus all the way to mellow. 7 laps for Seakley, Titus, and Loveness's wet tires, and 8 laps old are the tires of Zotile and Josh in P4 and 5, as Spizozo and Tindo are currently the only 2 drivers on intermediates, as Seakley grinds everything down to a halt. Really try to get a little bit, whatever semblance of temperature they can get into these tires, and knowing Seakley, as he gets to the top of that hill, Seakley will punch it, and Seakley will punch it truly, and really still taking it slow. Titus is braced for the restart, and yes, Seakley pushes it into that first corner. Titus, look how close Titus is. Titus is really not giving anything away. Titus's levels of concentration have been stellar in this race, from fighting to gain positions, from defending their position from Zotile, and now Titus really looking to play a pivotal part in the final stage of this race here. Seakley is punching it. That gap between them and Titus is just half a second, so Titus not giving anything away here. And Loveness is even tighter to the back of Titus's car. So what a race it's been here. What a restart it's been. Romeo has gained a place from Nick further down the grid. And in the same vein, Nick has gained a place from Deep Wax a little further down the grid. But let's take a close look here at this battle between P1, 2, and 3 from the perspective of Titus. Now, the track isn't necessarily drying up fully yet. Of course, it's still drizzling, but these drivers aren't on a compound of full wet tires. Will these tires hold up, and will these tires hold up and not give them too many issues as we go towards the end of this race and this track possibly dries up? Now, only these teams and their race engineers know what the weather situation is towards the end of this race here. Go Loveness, says Chris in the comments. Loveness has had a stellar day here. As they look to chase down Titus, the gap between P1, 2, and 3 is around a second, really, between these 3 cars here. Josh is looking to take a bite out of Zotile's P4 position as things stand. It is one of the closest, tightest times. Van Kobe says it's time for inters, but with 5 laps remaining, I wouldn't pit. I suspect that is exactly what all of these drivers in the top here are thinking. They do not want to sacrifice track position with just 5 laps to go. Chris expects Spizozo to bamboozle and perhaps, well, fight their way even further up than 7th place here. And Tindo, Spizozo and Tindo are the only drivers on intermediates, as we see things slightly calming down as far as the rain is concerned. Zotile is just 3/10 from Loveness, and Zotile has been biding their time for so many laps through the safety car sort of coming out and going back in as they come into this first corner, trying not to take unnecessary risks. The Amnesia racks up a time penalty, multiple warnings, 3-second time penalty. Oh, Zotile crashes, he sends it into the wall there. Oh, there's possible damage. As Josh says, thank you very much, Zotile. Whatever you do, I will just take that position. Zotile slips all the way down as he has quite possibly taken damage. Let's take and see there. Looks like, that front wing is completely damaged. He's lost all that control. No, Zotile's fans are losing composure in the comments section. Josh has taken full advantage of that. And as Zotile crashes out, That is great news for Loveness, who now does not have to have the stress of a Zotal just 3/10 behind them. Oh man. Well, the further we go into this race, the more precarious it becomes. Well, Bankobi says, I told you about Loveness's defending. Zotal was getting frustrated and impatient. A race full of drama, says Lakoa. Our Tier 2 driver is, of course, having a lot to say. Look at Mello, who has fought their way up to P5 here, looking to take full advantage of Josh here. Mello has been seething at their performances recently. Mello has been looking to really, really take full advantage here. He's kind of taken a sniff at the inside, but no, it is not enough. Josh has enough to kind of defend there. Look at this. It is Josh, Mello, Spizozo, and Tindo bunched up here. It is a fight for the ages with this 3 laps to go as we're looking from the perspective of Mello to take full advantage here. Spizozo will also have a little something to say to Mello here. So nobody is really giving up here. Great progression from Mello. That is absolutely correct, Lakoa. Mello has fought their way all the way from the back of this grid here after suffering some incidents and some time penalties, but now find themselves in P5, a possible P4 place for Mello if they can get this move done on Josh here. It is super tight between P4, 5, 6, and 7. Tabang says, wait for Mello at the end. Wait for Titus at the end, rather, says Tabang. Titus will keep it tight and keep it steady until the end, at which time they will take full advantage. Well, will that be the case? I cannot wait. Let's see. It is not all... Ooh, there's a fight here between Spizozo and Tindo, who gets that move done on Spizozo as they were kind of on the curves there and slowed down, and Tindo got that move done. Now Tindo's looking to get that move on Mello as they go on the inside there, and he gets the move on the inside. Mello goes wide, and Tindo takes full advantage there. Oh, what a move that was from Tindo. What a great move from Tindo to muscle their way past Spizozo and then Mello, elbowing them out. He says, yes, I'll take that position. Yes, I'll take that position. And now Tindo is looking to get one on Josh on those intermediate tires, as we said earlier. Josh is now defending for their life as Tindo is looking to take advantage. But Josh himself is thinking about Tindo and Loveness, who has been putting up a defense of the ages here for that final podium place. As we see Josh. Oh, Josh kind of lost that position to Tindo. Tindo's coming the inside of Josh. They touch, and Josh manages to keep the car in check, but Tindo has maintained that position, and Loveness is sandwiched between 2 McLarens now as things stand. Tindo, of course, has time penalties, but they're fighting for that possible P3 with Loveness, who is on 13-lap old tires, and Loveness is defending, but Tindo says, I will come on the inside. I've got the inside line. I've got the quicker. Look, let's see Tindo. Can he get the move done? Will there be contact? Oh, and Loveness goes wide as Tindo gets that position. P3 for Tindo. What a day this is, but we are in the penultimate lap. It is not that simple. It is not that simple. Tindo has a 6-second time penalty. So as far as Loveness is concerned, with all the drivers that have racked up so many penalties, Loveness needs not panic. Loveness has got this in the bag if he does not panic. What a fight it's been here. What drama in a race filled with incidents. Look at Loveness backing up all those drivers who are chasing them now. Loveness is doing the most. Is Loveness your driver of the day? Let us know in the comments what a drive it's been from Loveness here. A possible podium finish as we look towards this scrap here between Josh, Spizozo, and Mello. The Mello who makes contact with Spizozo and concedes there. Spizozo says, no, you will not. It will not be that simple for you, Mello. I will not give that position away so simply. And he's looking to go on the inside of Josh. Now, the drivers who are currently on intermediate tires currently have the advantage. It would seem there are time penalties scattered throughout this grid here. It is a time penalty shootout.
انت تشوفي جو وبني مشي لها تلفز ملا أبلا لفز ملا أبي كامج أوكي شو دايدين وتشيلو فيلا واتيرا واتاسي زي تاتا لبوزيشن مرة لفنس أنا ما بينالتي جو أنا ما بينالتي سوبر كرين.
Yeah, Loveness will be fine. We're in the final lap. What a drive it's been from Clay, our championship contender who fought from P1, slipped to P2, but has managed to maintain their place at the front of the grid as they come towards that finish line. Clay is the winner in Brazil, as we are about to see Titus finishing second. Tindo, of course, will have to contend with some penalties, time penalties, as Loveness makes their way here. And it looks like Tindo might have actually survived this. And Damnesia comes in to P5, and Mello is 5th. Spizoso comes in 7th. Romeo is 8th. D-Wax 10th. And Zotile, who was looking to do far better than 9th place, that was the best that they could do as things stand. What a day it has been. What a drive it has been from these people. Well, the game says Romeo is the driver of the day. Who is your driver of the day? I would love to hear from you. What a day it has been here. And as you can see, well, Tindo, even with the time penalty, has finished in P3. Consecutive podium finishes for Tindo. What a day for Tindo. What a day for Titus. What a day for Clay. Tindo managed to open the gap there and finish in the podium places. Does that change your perspective on who the driver of the day is? Let us know in the comments. What a day it has been. What a drive. This is the pinnacle of racing here for our drivers in Tier 1 of F1 2021. This is Brakeaway F1. And what a day, what a drive we have had here from these drivers. Now, they have all made their way. They have pretty much jumped out of the cockpit. Titus has put his bottle of Gemmer down and has joined us in the cockpit here. Tindo joins us in the cockpit as well. Clay, I'll start with Clay. Congratulations. What a drive once again. You were before the start of this race, you were in P3. You've added a further P3 in the championship. You've added a further 25 points to that. How do you feel? How did you see that race panning out, Clay?
I practiced my ass off for that. It went great. It paid off.
Yeah.
I actually, funny enough, practiced a lot with Tindo.
Yes.
And he's been keeping me honest ever since we started practicing together. I'd like to congratulate him. He also showed Titus flames. And congrats for Titus as well.
Yes.
Second place. Yeah. It was a wonderful race. I hate the rain, but I found a groove.
It was an incredible race to watch. Sometimes rainy races are uneventful, but this was full of drama pretty much all the way through the grid. Titus, you had a day where you showed your form, you demonstrated your prowess in wet weather once again. Congratulations, P2. What were the crucial moments that led to you finishing in this position?
Yeah, thank you. It was a very interesting race because at some stage I wanted to pit for the wets, full wets, and then I saw Zotile pulling the trigger. I decided to stay out. Yeah. Luckily the safety car came through, and then we all went on wets. And luckily for me, Loveness managed to hold Zotile up because Zotile was really gonna catch me. His pace was really fast.
Yes.
So yeah, it was just unfortunate for Zotile. He got a broken wing and his race didn't turn out well. And yeah, congratulations to my teammate as well. He had a
drama. What a day! Wow. What a day! Another double podium for McLaren. You guys are fighting your way back in this championship. Congratulations, Tindo. You have demonstrated insane form in recent weeks. Your level of calmness, to fight your way and muscle your way up the grid. How on earth did you do that?
I don't know. I think I picked it 4 times today, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But I just do. I think the what played most part is I don't know what happened. I think I damaged my wing, and then there was also a safety car. I pitted for intermediate because I knew at the end of the race the rain won't be that heavy because Jeff kept on updating like the rain will be light at the end of the race and all that. But yeah, so I just decided to put on Inter. I knew they were gonna come in the end, but it was a gamble. But yeah, just to keep the focus high.
A gamble that absolutely paid off. And towards the end of the race there, especially after one of the last safety cars that we saw, Sihle, this question is for you, and then I'll come to you, Titus, as well. How much were you kind of pondering, sort of, gambling and coming back into the pits, or was it a case of I'm going to keep track position as much as I can, I will not risk it?
I actually tried to play the dummy on Titus.
Yeah.
I kept on checking with my radio, but I saw he was a bit too far and it didn't work. Yeah, I knew the weights were the right tire the rest of the race. Yeah.
My gosh. And Titus, did you see that? Did you see that dummy? Did you almost take the bait?
Yeah, I almost went to the pits, but with only less than 7 laps left, I saw it was too risky, not worth it, because I was gonna lose track position and might have struggled to overtaking. Overtaking in the rain is a mission. Right?
Yeah. And Tindo, I would love to hear from you. I suppose without giving too much away, what are the keys to setting up your car to best take advantage of a track like this, both in dry and wet conditions?
What can I say? Like I knew before the race started, I knew there's gonna rain, so I had to have a different setup as well. Like I knew I was just gonna struggle for fuel. I didn't expect the rain to be that early. Yeah. But I was actually using the setup for rain, and then also like in practice, like I've been practicing. I'm sure Sifle can tell as well. I've been giving them hard times as well. And he's just too quick, though. That's the only thing I can say. But I would just say practice.
Practice
help you. Yeah.
Put in those hours. Put in those laps. Gentlemen, this has been a race for the ages. We are halfway into the season 12th race, and what drama you all serve! What consistency from all of you, really. We're so used to seeing you on the podium. Congratulations, and we will see you at the next race. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Congrats, gents.
Congrats to our podium finishes. Yes, thank you to our viewers. This is Breakaway F1. This has been our epic race in Brazil. Remember, these Tier 1 drivers race on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And our Tier 2 drivers race on Mondays and Wednesdays. So you can look forward to all of that. This has been Breakaway F1. I have been Bob O'Connor. No Pratok. Yes, and Pratak. So thank you very much, everybody. And good night.